Hello, it's music time on Encore. Here's the lineup. One for the ladies. Pharrell Williams keeps fans happy by announcing his soon-to-be-released album called Girl. Talking present tense with Wild Beasts, the British indie rockers tell France 24 why they feel like outsiders and how they're dealing with their rise up the charts. And Beck is back. The Los Angeles singer-songwriter releases a new album entitled Morning Phase, seen as a follow-up to his Sea Change record. All that and more still to come, so let's get started. And for today's show, I am joined by our music critic, Mark Thompson. Hello to you, Mark.
Hi, Jade.
Great to have you with us. We're going to begin, though, with news that's got everyone talking. I'm referring to Pharrell Williams announcing he's bringing out a new album called Girl. The countdown is on. It will hit stores on March 3rd. Mark, what can we expect?
Well, the short answer here is a hit. Pretty much whatever he touches, as Neptunes, as NERD, as Pharrell, it goes gold. And Pharrell himself says this is going to be a festive album. That's not surprising. I mean, Pharrell himself is 40, but he looks like a teenager, and it's full of youthful exuberance. Everything he touches, very dancey, very upbeat. With this record, he's actually teamed up with the legendary film composer Hans Zimmer, who's better known for making music to The Lion King, Gladiator, Inception. So it's going to be an odd mix, that. But the pair have worked together recently on Despicable Me 2, which the first single from Girl has come from. Let's have a listen to Happy.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you
You really can't help bopping along to
I'm
that,
going to
can
have
you?
that stuck in my head for the rest of the day.
I know, me too. Well, it's his first album release in 8 years, but he's been pretty busy in the meantime, hasn't he?
Yeah, his last outing was actually his debut, believe it or not, with Jay-Z, Kanye West, Nelly. Everyone was featured on it, so that was no mean feat in itself. But since then, he's collaborated with everyone from Madonna to The Roots to Britney Spears as either a singer, songwriter, or a producer. And he obviously featured on two of the biggest hits from last year, Get Lucky and Blurred Lines, and he was nominated for 7 Grammys, so it's not been a quiet little break for him.
Not at all. Well, he called this album Girl, and he admitted at the Brit Awards last week that this career would be nowhere without his army of female admirers. He actually made the announcement about the new album just hours before his performance at the Brits, saying he wanted to give his fans the heads up.
It's a special day because we put up the notice for the pre-order for the album, for my next album. It's called Girl, and I couldn't. There's no better way to sort of usher that in.
Right, well, one of the artists that Pharrell has collaborated with is Los Angeles singer-songwriter Beck. He's just released his own new album called Morning Phase. Let's take a listen to one of the songs off it now. This is Blue Moon.
see the time caught on his knees. The vagabond that no one sees. Remember the story in the shadows. You can't say the words you
Mark, this album is seen as a follow-up to his most successful and critically acclaimed record, 2002's Sea Change. And it's his first proper LP since 2008. Once again, bit of a hiatus. Why?
Well, sadly, he's been suffering from a spinal injury. So like Pharrell, he's been focusing on production work, in particular with artists like Charlotte Gainsbourg. He actually started working on this project back in 2005, but it wasn't until he got together with his band that he created Sea Change with that he felt everything really fell into place again.
Well, for those who may not have been paying much attention to his career, this is a very different album to the one that made his name, isn't it?
Well, obviously, if you haven't been following his career, like you say, if you know his lo-fi experimental sound from the 90s and the songs like Devil's Haircut, Loser, this is a completely different artist now. This album is a lot more considered, a lot more grown up. It's actually more reminiscent of, say, 60s, 70s folk California music.
All right, well, like we said, he's had an extended break, but he's wasted no time getting back into it, has he?
Well, yeah, obviously, Beck and Pharrell are now working together, and they're hoping to release a record by the end of 2014. I'm hoping that this will bring out Beck's more extravagant side and his art pop side, because we haven't really seen that for a few years.
All right, well, let's have to wait and see, take a listen to that. But Beck has often been considered an outsider due to his edgy and original style, as Pab was just saying then. A group that knows something about this is Wild Beasts. The band released their 4th record, Present Tense, this week. Mark, what did you think of it?
Actually, I really like this album. It's a very cohesive album. What I like about the band is they think more about the whole record rather than just individual singles. And they've seen a progress with each of their albums. The first one they released barely got any attention. The next one was nominated for the prestigious Mercury Award back in the UK. And after that, their album hit the top 20 in the UK charts. So we're seeing a steady progress here. Now, I caught up with the band here in Paris just this week to ask them about how they feel about the progress of the charts.
We dig it in beyond our means. We feel, we feel the things they'll never feel.
It does feel like we've kind of got there by accident rather than design.
With every album, and it's been slowly going up and up and up, and at the night it feels like it's in a good place.
It's not a soapbox record in the vein of like Billy Bragg or anything like that, but there are like songs about fairness on there, stuff like Wanderlust. You see people in the arts who they have a lot of money and they don't necessarily have to be doing this endeavour. The best way they can gain integrity is by buying into it or by becoming a creative person. We're an arena rock act these days, but we are playing like bigger venues than we ever have done before, and there is a duty to fulfil when you've got that.
Well, among the biggest stages they're going to have to get used to is a number of festivals that they're going to be playing this year.
Well, yes, they headlined at the Fireworks Festival here in Paris this week, and they're actually headlining one of my favourite UK festivals, the End of the Road Festival down in Dorset. And it just shows how far they've come, actually, from a band who released an album no one really took notice of to a band now headlining a UK festival. And this is for a band that consider themselves a self-diagnosed Marmite band, as in you either love them or you hate them. That's mainly due to the singer's falsetto voice.
Well, they seem to be doing all right for themselves, don't they?
They're not too bad.
All right, next, Annie Clark, a.k.a. St. Vincent, is back with her 4th solo record. The American singer-guitarist has just finished 18 months of touring her previous record, Love This Giant, which she made with Talking Heads legend David Byrne. Mark, I understand the first song on the new album is called Rattlesnake and has a rather interesting story behind it, doesn't it? It involves a naked walk.
Yeah, well, she's a constantly surprising artist, is Annie Clark, and this story is that she was staying at a friend's ranch in West Texas, and she decides, I'm walking around the stars in the middle of the desert, I might as well get naked. So she gets naked, and then suddenly, as you do, why not? And then she hears a rattlesnake, and gets scared and runs back to the house and drinks some tequila to calm her down, and so writes a song about it. Now, I don't expect the rest of the album will have such an extravagant story, but she said that actually her last album that she released, her last solo album that she released, had huge critical acclaim, but she said it actually wasn't the best record she could possibly make. So it'll be interesting to see if this record is a step up. I mean, it's already received a lot of praise in the press, so it'll be interesting to see what the next step is for her.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we said before, she's worked with a few music legends, such as David Byrne.
Yeah. Well, as I said earlier about End of the Road Festival, she headlined it with David Byrne last year, and that was another incredible album full of lots of brass instruments, lots of good dance choreography. It was very interesting.
Right, well, definitely an interesting one to keep a look out for. All right, let's move on now to a bit of French music news. And pop rock band Skip the Use are releasing their new album, Little Armageddon, this week. We caught up with the lead singer. Be warned, he has quite an unusual name, Matt Bastard, about why they recorded the album in London.
English people's got are really creative in sound, and I really appreciate the way that they're making their rock and roll music. in my head when you were composing a new album. Say, okay, I want to go in that way and that way. And for me, English people were the best person to help me to go further and having really the sound that I wish I could have.
All right, Mark, they recorded in London. They actually sing most of their lyrics in English, but they may not be quite so internationally well known as they are as popular here in France. Tell us a bit more about them.
Well, it's actually quite fitting that they recorded in London because they used to be, well, 5 of the members used to be part of a French punk band called Carving. And they didn't really get much success as that band. And even as Skip the Use, they didn't really take off here. And that was until 2012's Can Be Late put them really on the map here, at least in the Francophone world. They were nominated for the Best New Artist of Victoire de la Musique, and since then they've really taken off.
All right, well, thanks so much for that, Mark Thompson. That brings us to the end of our set list. Once again, thank you to Mark for joining us, and thank you for you to tuning in. We're going to leave you now with a song off Skip the Use's latest album. This is Nameless World. Don't forget, you can get more music and culture news on our social networks. Enjoy, and see you soon.
What if we